The Lunar New Year is coming up soon, and today I'll be showing you how to make beaded kumquat, a project that is in my book, Bead Flora, French Beaded, Branches in Bloom. If you are a beginner and would like to get started with French beaded flowers, my first book, Bead Flora, The Revival of French Beaded Flowers, is a great place to start. I also have video tutorials on my channel that will get you started. I have a tutorial on the beehive technique on my channel if you need a refresher on the beehive and double beehive technique before starting this project. I'll put all the materials, tools, and links that you need in the description. I replaced 3 of the kumquats with a few citrus blossoms, and you can find that pattern in the Branches in Bloom book. Signed books are available on my website, and they're also available at all major book retailers online. Before we get started, kumquats and mandarin oranges are often used for Lunar New Year's decor because they signify prosperity. The word kumquat comes from the Cantonese word gum, gut. When you wish someone prosperity in the new year, it's dai gut, dai lei. Let's get beading. String approximately 15 to 18 inches of beads onto a spool of 26 gauge gold wire for each kumquat. First, we're going to make Kumquat A. We're going to need 6 beads for the basic frame, so let's count out 6 beads here. And then we're going to measure out 4 inches for the top basic wire. Make the basic frame with 6 beads in the basic loop, and we want this to be 4 inches also. Yep, that's about good. Okay, so I'm going to twist here. Okay, so you don't need to twist too much. I have about ½ an inch here. Let's feed the beads on and make a rounded top and rounded bottom. Remember to straighten out all the wires here as you're doing this. Okay, so now we have the first 3 rows. And we're going to bend the wires down at this angle here. Just kind of like flared out. Not exactly straight down, right? But slightly flared out. All right, now let's make the next rows with the wires bent like this. We're going to make the rows until we have 9. We want 9 rows. Put your finger in the cup here. Hold on to it like this. And we want to be very slow and deliberate. Make sure the wires are where they're supposed to be. Make sure they're nice and straight. Not completely straight, but curved like they are supposed to be. This is what it looks like after we're done with the first part of the kumquat. So now let's undo any twisted wires here. Okay. I'm going to move the beads all to one side. And take your wire cutters and cut right at the top there. And not the top of that wire. Now we're going to be making the second part of the kumquat here, and we need the twisted wire here to be exactly the same as the twisted wire from the first part of the unit. So what you can do is you can either measure out the twisted wire here, or you can just twist and compare. And I usually just like to twist and compare. And that looks about good. All right. Okay. Yep. Okay, so now let's make the first 3 rows here. Round top, round bottom. Okay, so if this wire is in your way, just kind of coil it up and just get out of the way. Okay, so straighten out these wires here. We want to flare these wires out also. Bend these wires like this at this angle. Okay. All right. Now let's make our 9 rows. And we just want to be careful while we're doing these. Pay attention. Okay, so let's flare this out again, and because it just kind of like gets out of shape. So we just need to put the wire back where it's supposed to be before you make the wrap, because it gets bumped. Okay. Alright, so we have our 9 rows here, and then the wires. Okay, so let's straighten out these wires here. And position the wires right towards the middle, right here. Okay, I'm just going to cut another tail off the spool first. Okay, so undo the knots. Now we can fold these down to form the globed shape of the kumquat. So position all of the wires towards the middle, and let's push like one side of the kumquats together, and then leaving this kind of still open, and that's fine, and then we'll twist. If you want, you can put, some stuffing in here too, but I just don't want to. I may regret it later, but so I'm just gently shaping it. You see that there's a gap right here. I'm just closing this, gently closing. Okay. There's a gap right here, so just gently push it in. If you want to use stuffing, you can use like the same colored yarn or something like that. So here are the three sizes for the Kumquat A, B, and C. And the size difference from each kumquat to the next is not that significant, but it does add a little bit of more interest on your final stem. You need to make 5 of Kumquat A, 5 of Kumquat B, and 5 of Kumquat C. But if you want to make more of one than the other, if you want to make all of your kumquat the same size, that's perfectly fine too. So next we're going to wrap the stems with floral tape, not the wires, and we'll be using floral tape. Okay, so let's unwind the floral tape here, and you want to stretch this out to release the stickiness. Okay, and put it over the wire. Just kind of bend it over, kind of stick it onto itself, and then wrap it onto the wire here. Okay, you see how like the floral tape kind of rolled down? What I like to do is I just like to push it up. And then now I have room to hold on to it with my other hand. I'm going to push it up again, and then with the floral tape, you want to pull onto it. Pull to release, to keep releasing the stickiness as you go down. Okay. It may not look like I'm pulling, but I am pulling. It's just very subtle. I'm just not doing this, but I'm doing this as I'm rolling it. I'm going to go all the way down, and since I don't have scissors, I'm just going to rip it. Why do I ever have scissors when I need them? Okay, so I'm going to do that with all of the other kumquats. String about 24 inches of green beads on a spool of 24 gauge copper core wire. Now I'm going to show you how to make leaf A, and we're going to start out with 15 beads for the basic row. And let's leave about 2 inches for the top piece of wire. Okay, my spool is running away. And make a 3-inch twisted wire and loop. So let's make the first 3 rows with pointed top and pointed bottom. Wiggle it to get it into shape to make sure it's straight. That's what I like to do. It's like kind of long. All right, pointed bottom. And before we continue, I'm going to start a 3-inch lacing wire right here. If you've seen my other videos, I talk about lacing as you go. And that is something that I definitely recommend. You can lace after the fact, but I do prefer to lace as you go whenever possible. I'm going to start a lacing wire right in the middle here, in the middle of the basic row. Okay, go one way, and lace the other side, other row, lace the other row. Okay, here, where are you? Oh my God. Okay, the problem with this is it's not right in front of my face. It's under the camera, so it's a little bit harder to see. sometimes. Now let's feed the beads onto the working wire. And line it up for the 4th row. I like to wriggle it back and forth. Just kind of bend it back and forth. Make sure it's nice and straight. Now we're going to take I flipped this to the back. And now we're going to lace the row in. Now before we do anything, I'm going to undo the top basic wire here. And put a bead onto the top basic wire. And now we're ready to make the next row. Okay. I'm going to bend it back and forth, make sure it's nice and straight. And flip it to the back and lace the top. Okay, fold it back and forth, bend it back and forth, whatever you call it, just do it. Okay, so let's lace again. Put a bead on to the top basic wire. And we just want to keep going until we have 9 rows total. Okay, I have 7 rows right here. I forgot to lace twice on this row here because it's the last row on the left hand side, so we want to lace one more time. All right, now we're on to the last row. Flip it to the back and lace twice on this side because it is the last row. I had to cut a wire because I didn't have enough beads onto my spool. Okay. Just going to wrap the working wire down just a little bit, about 1/4 inch here. Reduce the wire. Ugh, get caught. Okay. Cut the top. Cut the lacing wires. And tuck. Straighten out the bottom wires and let's wrap it with floral tape. For these, we do want to shape the leaves before we assemble. So bend the leaf over your finger and then bring the tip up. So that is in like a little S shape. So here we have leaf A with 9 rows and here we have leaf B with 11 rows. You want to make 5 of leaves A and then 6 of leaves B. For assembly, we'll need a length of 16 gauge stem wire and a length of 18 gauge stem wire and floral tape. If you are making the stem with all kumquats, you will need 15 kumquats. But I'm going to replace 3 of the kumquats with some kumquat blossoms. So I'm going to take away 3 of the kumquats here. I'm going to take away, let's say these 3. So first we're going to work on stem A and we'll be using the 18 gauge stem wire first. So take any 3 units. So I'm going to take, you can just decide which 3 you want. I'm going to take 1 flower for the top too. So, all right, and let's position these around the 18 gauge stem wire. Okay, now we're going to take the floral tape pull. I'm just going to wrap the 3 around. I'm going to go down about 1/2 inch. So leaving about 1/2 inch, we're going to wrap in leaf A. And we're going to have about this much branching out, about 1/2 inch branching out. Then add in another leaf A. Okay, so here, another 1/2 inch right here, and then we're going to add in any 3 units again. You can use, for this one, I'm going to use 3 kumquats. And then position the other 3 around at the same spot, just around the stem. Just wrap the floral tape in place. Remember to pull on the floral tape. Another leaf B. Another leaf B. Okay. Now we're going to add in another leaf B. We don't need to go all the way down because we're going to wrap this with the second stem anyway. So now we are ready to work on stem B, and this is on the 16 gauge stem wire. We're going to pick out any 3 units again. And let's take a blossom and 2 kumquats here. About 1/2 inch sticking out. Gather it around the stem wire. And we're going to add in leaf A. Leaf A again after 1/2 inch. And any 3 units. I'll do 3 kumquats for this one. Okay, go down about 1/2 inch or so, maybe even 3/4 inch. That's up to you. I'm adding in a leaf A here. 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch, and I'm going to add in the last 3 units. We have 3 more of leaf B, and we're going to wrap these in, leaving about 1/2 inch in between. Now we have both stems and we're ready to combine them together. So bend the stem, this stem A, and we'll bend stem B too, and just wrap the floral tape around here. And we just want to trim this here before I finish wrapping with floral tape. And I'm just going to cut with scissors here. Yes, I found my scissors. They were just upstairs. Okay. Bend the floral tape in. We already shaped the leaves before we assembled. So now just the movement of the stem. I hope you all have a wonderful new year. Sunny by luck. Happy beading!